Walt Disney Animation Studios has really only released a small handful of sequels into theaters. You had Ralph Breaks the Internet, of course, from Wreck-It Ralph. You had Frozen 2. Their bread and butter used to be releasing these direct-to-VHS and direct-to-DVD sequels. And this one was originally designed as a long-form television series that they sort of pivoted and turned into a theatrical film. And it shows. Let's talk about Moana 2. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the new film Moana 2. This is brand new in theaters, and I'm sure it is going to make a ton of money, which is probably why they decided to change it from a television show on Disney Plus to a feature-length film. And I'm sure it'll, make $1 billion and all of that. But is it any good? That is what we're going to talk about here momentarily. But first, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are one of my subscribers already, thank you so much for that. Always love having you guys return to Dan Reviews It. But if you're not, please consider subscribing, click that notification bell, like this video. All that stuff helps the channel out, of course. And I think particularly comment on this one because I really want to know whether you guys saw Moana 2, what you thought of it, whether your view is different from mine. So I think the comments will be interesting on this video if you'd like to share your opinions. But in any event, let me first, I guess, talk briefly about the original Moana because I was not the biggest fan of that. It was a positive grade for sure, but compared to things like Frozen and Tangled and The Princess and the Frog and some of their recent princess type entries, this was a bit of a letdown for me. I did give it, I think, a B upon first view. Now I have seen it a couple of times, so I'm not sure. I think I'm probably still in the B range, though, for this one, as compared to, like, the A or maybe A minus of some of those other ones that I mentioned. But still, I had, some higher hopes for Moana 2, because Walt Disney Animation Studios has really not done a very great job lately. Last year's Wish was okay. Strange World the year before was not that great. And even their live action sort of remakes and looking back at some of their old properties, The Haunted Mansion last year, not very good. So I was hoping maybe this would break that streak. It most definitely does not. This is not a very good movie, I have to say. So we'll talk about the reasons here why in just a second. But first, let's go over the rundown of the movie. Most of the stars from the original do return to voice those same roles, including the star Ali Cravalho, who is Moana herself. You had Dwayne Johnson as Maui, Tamora Morrison, Nicole Scherzinger, Rachel House, and Alan Tudyk all come back for this one. And we have some new people joining as well. And the basic premise here is that we were 3 years after the events of the first film, even though in the real world we're about 8 years. Moana came out in 2016, but we're 3 years in the movie, and Moana receives an unexpected call from her ancestors and forms her crew to hope to reunite with Maui to journey to the far seas of Oceania to confront old and new foes, including the Kakamora and the underworld goddess. And so that's the basic premise. That's all I'll give you plot-wise. But let's talk about why this movie doesn't work. First of all, I didn't know until after I saw it, and I was reading up a little bit about it for this video, that it was designed as a television series for Disney+. It makes a ton of sense knowing that now. But you also have 3 different directors on this movie: David Derrick Jr., Jason Hand, and Dana LaDue Miller. I'm not really familiar with any of them. David Derrick worked for DreamWorks for a while, I guess, but, I don't really know any of his specific work. But I wonder if part of the reason there's 3 directors is because they were so far in the process of making this into a TV show that maybe, one person directed one episode, another person directed another episode. I'm not positive how far they got along in the let's make this a TV show vein before they pivoted. I don't know. I would have to look into that, but it makes so much sense to me that that's how this was designed, because boy, oh boy, this movie is really, it's all over the place. There is sort of a through line plot wise, but it takes a lot of sort of odd twists and turns to get there that didn't all connect for me, and at times didn't even make sense. To be completely honest. So, on a very basic level, just about everything in this movie is more poorly done than in the first one. Music is, I mean, let's start there because in the first one you had Lin-Manuel Miranda, doing all of these great songs. How Far I'll Go is iconic. Obviously, You're Welcome, is a fun number for Maui to sing. And here we have Emily Bear and Abigail Barlow taking over the reins for the music. I think there are 5 new songs in this. One of them is a straight up banger, I will say. And it gets a reprise at the end of the movie as well, which is nice because it's really the only memorable song in the picture. And then there's a couple that are like just forgettable. And then the new Maui song is just straight up terrible. Dwayne Johnson can't sing, which is, part of why You're Welcome was sort of kind of kitschy fun, because it doesn't require great vocal strength for that song. Here he's kind of like rapping a little bit, and the songs all have that Disney vibe and even kind of a Moana 1 vibe as well. They sort of not were mimicking Lin-Manuel's style, but trying to keep it similarly themed with these songs, and most of them didn't work. So you've got that. I didn't think it looked particularly good, which may speak to the fact that it was supposed to go to Disney Plus. I thought the first movie looked a lot better just from an animation perspective. This actually made me miss hand-drawn animation. Now, I love hand-drawn animation anyway, so I don't need to necessarily, be wistful for it. I always like hand-drawn animation, but just some of the things, especially towards the end of the movie, I was just noticing, like, boy, that character design looks terrible, or that background I didn't particularly think was well put together. It really made me wonder, like, what kind of budget did they have for this animation, and did they change what they were doing for the show to spruce it up a little bit for a theatrical audience? I really don't know, but I thought the first one looked a lot better. You've got the humor. The first one was a lot funnier. Now, Hey Hey is back. He's the funniest character, and he is back doing his shenanigans. And Pua, the pig, we see them again. But other than that, this one was not particularly funny. I laughed, I think, twice in the whole movie. And look, little kids are going to love it, and that's fine. But I think we've come to the point in Walt Disney Animation where these movies are made, for both kids and adults equally. And, yeah, kids are going to love all the vivid colors, and, they'll like the funny animals and everything. But all of these new characters they've introduced are just completely unmemorable. Most of them didn't even really seem to have points, to be honest. We need a bunch of new characters. Let's throw them in for the ride. And then there's the fact that Moana and Maui don't even get to meet back up for almost an hour into the movie. I think it was like, I looked at my phone to see what time it was, because I'm like, this has been a while. It was like 56 minutes or something like that, or 54 minutes, I forget, but it was like close to an hour before the two of them reconnect. And we see Maui in a couple of scenes earlier in the movie, but they don't meet for a while, and I think that is a bit of a disappointment as well. Sort of the Moana and Maui, team up is something that people enjoyed about the first movie as well. Here, we just don't get a lot of that. So really, like, everything is just worse than the original. So if I leave the original with a B, this one has to certainly be lower, but by how much? So let's talk about the couple of things that I do like about this. Other than the one song is a straight up banger, and that is, I can tell you which one it was. I want to get the name of it exactly right. Is there something about the music here? Okay. It was Beyond. Oh, that is a good tune. And like I said, they do a reprise of it at the end. That's the one to watch. So I love that. And look, I like the character of Moana, and the voice acting here is fine. I mean, Dwayne Johnson is whatever. He's Dwayne Johnson. But Ali Carvalho, she is great as Moana, and I really like the character of Moana. And I think the strengths of the character from the first one definitely port over to this one. I wish there were, better sequences for her to be in and whatever, but I like the character, and her strength and what she stands for, and the sort of the Polynesian background stuff, with the island and all of that, like that stuff was good. It was, again, done better in the first movie, but I think that is one, positive note here of this one. But look, this is definitely more than, for me, an entire step down from the original. If that one's a B, I am leaving Moana 2 with a C minus. And I honestly think that might be generous. I don't know. Now, it's fresh in my mind. I just came from it. Maybe tomorrow I'll wake up and think, oh, maybe this song was better than I thought it was, or whatever. But as a first impression, I just was nonplussed by this completely. So, all right, that will do it. But please comment below. Let me know what you thought about Moana 2. And other than that, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching Dan Reviews It. Bye.